What do you add to your ground beef when making a burger from scratch? Good quality ground beef from a butcher, salt and pepper. No breadcrumbs, eggs, or anything else. I'm making a burger, not meatloaf. I like Worcestershire in the mince, and then I coat the patty in some salt, coarse pepper, and garlic. Salt and pepper only. To the outside of the burger, not in the mix. Makes a difference in the texture of the final product. Ground beef, onion powder, garlic powder, salt, white pepper, and a small splash of soy sauce. Some people say it isn't a burger at this point, but I also occasionally enjoy mixing in an egg per pound of meat and some panko to hold it all together. The holy trinity of salt, pepper, and garlic powder. Sometimes I'll just forego those and just use Montreal steak seasoning. Granny would add onions, but I don't think they get cooked enough in the ground beef for my liking. Pickled or sautéed for me. When my folks were poorer, they'd add saltine crackers to stretch the meat more, but I've never done that. A little Worcestershire and a yellow mustard added into the mix, then salt and pepper the outside of the patties. I'll sound like a snob, but you really shouldn't add anything unless you are mixing in other meats. Mixing an egg is not needed. If your patty is not holding together, chill it. Also, you should never salt a burger until it's already on the hot grill. Salt will create bindings in ground beef that ultimately make the burger chewy and tough. Spices, an egg or two to keep the meat together better help keep it fluffy like meatloaf. Sometimes cheese in the center. Absolutely nothing. Just smash as thin as possible on a screaming hot cast iron. Scrape it up with a paint scraper, thank you Kenji. Flip then top with cheap cheese. Yummy! Ground lamb, salt, pepper, brown sugar. Sometimes egg, sometimes soy sauce, sometimes yum sauce, sometimes various marinades and beef herb blends. Depends on what I feel like in the moment. Nothing at all. I'm a big fan of the smash burger method. Don't mess with the meat too much, and just press a ball of it on the grill. Flavors can come from what you top the burger with. Egg yolk as a binder, salt, pepper, garlic powder, small amount of jalapenos, Swiss cheese and or sautéed mushrooms to the center of the patties. Some ground antelope 50-50 mixed with beef. Add in salt, pepper, chili powder, some diced red onions, some shredded cheddar, and bacon bits. Mix it all together well, and press into patties of whatever size you want. Sometimes, if I feel a little extra, I'll mix a little bit of sweet baby rays into the meat mixture also. Awesome burgers. Salt, pepper, a little water or beef broth. If using beef broth, don't add salt. Mix not like kneading bread and then lightly form the patties. Nothing. This is key. As long as it's in the ropey supermarket grind, it is perfect hamburger. It needs nothing else. Angus chuck 80-20. I handle as little as possible. Preserve the grind. Flatten the patty. Into hot dry pan. Salt in the pan. Black pepper. Flip only once if possible. But do not neglect the crust. Toasted bun. Mayo. Red onion. Tomato. It is done. Spice. Breadcrumb if you want steak burgers. If you are looking beef burgers, you want spice, breadcrumb, parsley, egg, tomato and onion if you want it done properly. This is coming from a butcher. Nothing. Salt and pepper on the outside, not mixed in with the beef. If I do mix something in, it's diced jalapenos, minced garlic, Worcestershire sauce, onion powder, salt, and butter. I'm destroying my arteries, but that butter just making it so tasty. Salt and pepper on top. I have added ranch powder seasoning or sometimes garlic occasionally, but mostly just salt and pepper. Salt, pepper, garlic and onion powder. I often replace the garlic powder with jalapeno garlic powder if I have it. Salt, garlic powder, McCormick's hamburger seasoning, liquid smoke, Creole seasoning, and then I baste it with butter after I make it into a patty. Garlic powder, onion powder, black pepper, dried onions, Worcestershire sauce, and barbecue sauce. My mother-in-law used to add onion soup mix, so this is just my take on that without the extra salt and preservatives. 2-3 ground sirloin, 1-3 ground pork. 1 pound batch, 1 egg, garlic powder, onion powder, salt, pepper. Press your patties flat and wide. After the first flip, add cheese. Grill to preference. Don't go cheap on the buns or lettuce. Pair it with a stone napa on a normal burger, usually just salt and pepper. Lately I've been using Montreal steak seasoning. For my take on a shake your honey maker, I mix in ground rosemary and minced garlic, salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder or chopped onions, paprika, sugar, parsley. With a little bit of mustard, ketchup, Worcestershire sauce, and cumin. Lori's signature steakhouse marinade. Form a burger patty, marinate it in lorries for at least an hour, then cook. Nothing else needed. It was my dinner just now. 1 pound beef, 250 grams panko breadcrumbs, 2 splashes of Worcester sauce, 50 grams message, 20 grams ground pepper, 20 grams regular salt, 2 eggs, and other spices based on burgers I'm making. Garlic powder, onion powder, allspice, 5 spice, some paprika, chili, Montreal steak spice, etc. to taste, not all, just change it up sometimes. Soy sauce, there's too many to list. Grill on a hot grill until edible. Nutmeg. Makes your beef taste exponentially beefier. Normal burgers just won't cut it after you've megged up. Granulated garlic, Tony Chachere's Cajun seasoning, salt, pepper, parsley flakes, and don't fool with or mix the beef too much. Gently fold those spices in, then form the patty and leave it alone. Also 80 works best. You need some fat to make it moist and taste good. We used 88 yesterday and they were kind of dry. Small amount of diced white onion, blue cheese crumbles, small amount of diced jalapeno, salt, pepper, small amount of A1 sauce. Big hit with everyone who's had one, age range 1655. Melt a slice of provolone on top at the end. Parm, onion powder, garlic powder, Worcestershire sauce, ketchup, mustard and smoked paprika, salt, pepper and sage. 11/10 best burger you'll ever try. You gotta experiment with finely dicing things like onion, garlic, habanero, jalapeno and mixing them right into the beef. Add some Worcestershire, salt and pepper the outside. GG easy. It's a hamburger made of meat on a bun with nothing. Add ketchup if you want. I couldn't care less. A wee bit of Tabasco, salt, pepper, onion powder, and garlic powder. Also, if I feel like leaving earth cooker, I'll cook in butter. Now if I'm not being too lazy, I'll use fresh garlic and onion instead. Rice, salt, pepper and paprika. My mom made filled paprikas with that and it tastes nearly the same using less meat. Panko crumbs, eggs, and mama's meatball blend from Gewer's house. Sorry anyone outside of house, I'm not sure if you can get it shipped to you, but it's wonderful. Really adds some nice flavor and texture to the patties. Salt and pepper. Nothing else needed. We are keto and we love burgers. I have tried adding all kinds of things but nothing is as good as good old salt and pepper. Take a pack of bacon and cut that real fine and mix it right in. Batch of salt and pepper never hurts. Some breadcrumbs as a binder. Depends. Smash burger, just salt and pepper. Traditional pub style. A proprietary blend of herbs and spices, flavorings, egg, breadcrumbs, and condensed milk. The burger we get when our beef comes from the butcher, we buy half a beef at a time, is rather lean and doesn't hold together well, so I add 1 egg yolk per pound and a little Worcestershire since I'm mixing it. 80 or 85 beef, form patty, coat with olive oil, salt, pepper, and optionally flavored seasoning like McCormick's. Sear both sides on a hot grill for 4 minutes each side, then lower the heat and cook to 160 internal temp. Do not squish the juices out, that's why you sear, to keep the juices inside. Salt, pepper, oregano, thyme. Sometimes a dash of garlic salt or Parmesan cheese. Sometimes when I'm feeling fancy, sandwich some onions and shredded mozzarella and cheddar cheese between patties. Sometimes add a splash of A1. I'm a foodie lol, love experimenting with flavors. Ground pepper, garlic powder, smoked paprika powder, some oyster sauce, sambal, onion powder. Maybe some grated cheese. No salt. Nope, oyster sauce is already very salty. Shaved onions and a little seasoned salt. I started making the cheeseburger from the menu and I never looked back. There's a Nigella Lawson recipe that calls for nothing but 1 teaspoon salt and 1 teaspoon sugar. Don't knock it till you've tried it. Standard salt and pepper. Often I add a BBQ flavored powder mix as well as a bit of teriyaki and sometimes either a bit of BBQ sauce or A1 for some extra moisture. I use a steakhouse seasoning blend that's coarse salt, pepper, garlic, and a few other things. I sprinkle it on right before it hits the pan or grill. Lots of purists in here, I switch it up based on what I have, but general recipe is 1 egg, some breadcrumbs, maybe 1/4 cup, whatever seasoning I feel like, and cheese. Used feta once because it was all I had and it was delicious. If you want a tender burger, it's better to only add salt to the outside of the patty right before cooking. J. Kenji Lopez Alt did a video where he showed how salting the inside of the burger meat messes up the texture, turns it hard and rubbery. You don't need to do anything fancy at all to even cheap ground beef to make a good burger, just cook it correctly. Nothing. I work the beef until I get the patty I want, Then I salt it liberally on each side before it goes on the grill. Ground meat from the butcher, sweated onions, bacon, cheese, breadcrumbs, eggs, salt, pepper and chili, minced garlic, black pepper, salt, onion powder, finely diced onions, barbecue sauce binder, small amount of shredded cheese, Worcestershire however spelled sauce, onion, Parmesan cheese, a little ketchup, a little water, breadcrumbs, Tony's seasoning. We get our beef from a local place, so the quality is super good. So we just use salt, pepper and some garlic powder. Heat. Used to add salt and pepper. Realized I could never taste the difference, so I stopped bothering. Plain ground beef, salt, pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder. I prefer to grill onions instead and place them on my burger. I just put some Cavenders on mine, so whatever is in Cavenders. I know it's salt pepper but do know the other spices in the mix. 1-2 ground chuck, 80-20 or 85-15. 1-2 ground sirloin. Depending on what I pair it with I will switch it up, but the default is Worcester sauce, salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, maybes, red peppercorn, raw chopped red onions, curry, cumin, sriracha, salt, pepper, sometimes garlic and onion powder, and if I'm feeling frisky, some dill. You don't need anything else. Black pepper, salt, and maybe some garlic powder. Also not seasoning but a burger without caramelized onions is sin.